How to use an APS therapy machine for shoulder pain. Okay, when you get your APS therapy machine, you need to attach your leads. So you've got 2 red holes and 2 black holes, and you've got 2 red leads and 2 black leads. And the fat end of the leads is going to go into the holes. So 1, 2, 3, sorry, 4. Right, and then your electrodes go onto the thin end of the leads. So you should have a silver pack. If it's new, you need to tear the top off, and inside you find your electrodes sitting on some plastic backing. So you need to hang on to that plastic backing because your electrodes need to go back onto the plastic backing at the end of every session. So they should always come off the leads at the end, and that way they're not always on the same leads. So it doesn't matter which one goes on which, you just connect the thin ends and push them in nice and deep. 1. The leads like to tangle themselves together, but it doesn't really matter because you have plenty of room for manoeuvre. They're really stretchy, and they should always reach wherever you need them to go. 2. 3. 4. So we're connecting our electrodes whilst our electrodes are still sitting on this backing. And then the next thing you need to think about is where you're going to be putting the electrodes. So I'm going to tie my hair up because generally we treat going down the spine from the top of the spine to the bottom of the spine first. So every session is 4 8-minute placements with your machine. Your machine is on an 8-minute timer, and we start by going from the top of the spine to the bottom of the spine, even if your pain isn't anywhere near your spine. So you're going to have black electrodes at the top, and to guide you there's a kind of knobbly vertebrae at the top of your back, and you just want to have about 1 pad's width in between the electrodes, and that they should go round about on either side of that knobbly vertebrae. And if you have your lead coming over your shoulder, that just makes it less likely that your electrodes will peel off. So when you're doing it yourself, you just kind of have to feel. If you put your hand on that knobbly vertebrae and then put one of your black electrodes on one side, when you pick them up, don't pull them by the tail, just peel them off from the corner like that. Now I can't see what I'm doing, and you might not be able to either when you're doing it. So I'll turn around and hopefully you'll be able to see that they're both roughly 1 pad's width apart on either side of this knobbly vertebrae at the top of my spine. Okay, now in the same kind of placement, your red leads go at the bottom of your spine. So it's below your waistband and just where you have a couple of dimples right at the bottom of your spine. So just before your back becomes your backside. And just make sure that they're nice and firmly secured. If it's really cold weather, you might need to put a warm hand over them just to make sure that they're nice and stuck on nice and securely. Okay, so on your dials, this dial at this side, we often don't use this one in the initial stages. This just alternates between a pulsed treatment, which is just slightly to the left, and that's that can be useful if you're kind of stuck and you feel that you're not getting the kind of results that you need. Sometimes with really old, long-standing injuries, it means that the machine turns on and off very, very quickly, and it can just be a little bit more of a vigorous treatment. But we generally always start with it turned just slightly to the right, which is just the continuous treatment. So check that it's just not left, but right, and just leave it on there. This one goes from 0, which is off, to 1, which is on, and then gradually goes up. Okay, so first of all, turn it from 0 to on, and it should just beep, and you should get some numbers appearing, some zeros basically appearing here. So give it a moment, and then very gradually just turn clockwise until you feel a tingle. Everybody is really different. Some people feel a tingle very early, so I'm feeling it quite early here, and some people don't feel a tingle until it's gone quite high up. When you feel a tingle, and it can just be under one electrode, I'm just feeling it in one at the top of my back here. Once you feel a tingle, you're going to actually turn it down by about 2/3. You don't have to be absolutely mathematically correct, but I felt it around about 0.15. This is where my maths always fails me. Actually, that's not a difficult one, is it? So that needs to go back down to 0.05, which is about 2/3 down, or about 1/3 of where I first felt it. Sometimes it's hard to just get it right. It doesn't really matter if you're not exact. Okay, so this is going to run now for 8 minutes, and then it will beep and turn itself off. So APS therapy is not something that the higher you turn the dial, the more pain relief you're going to get. APS stands for Action Potential Simulation. So a simulation is a copy, and an action potential is that burst of electricity that travels along cells in our body, most commonly down nerve cells, to transmit information. It's also other cells as well. So it's a copy of your body's own electrical nerve signals, and the idea is that this is copying that frequency and also stimulating your body to produce more of those nerve signals, and that encourages better communication between cells. So this means that they're able to remove waste products more effectively, which results in a reduction in inflammation, and a lot of painful conditions involve inflammation in one way or another. So it also boosts levels of ATP, or adenosine triphosphate, which is the molecule which is responsible for transporting energy around the body following the glucose that's released from the breakdown of your food. The more ATP that's available to the body, the more the natural healing mechanisms can kick in, and it can also result in increased energy and well-being. There's also an effect on various neurohormones that have an impact on pain. So leukin and kephalin is raised progressively when you use APS therapy, and that's one of the body's natural endorphins, or natural pain-killing neurohormones. And then also there are changes to beta endorphin and melatonin. And melatonin is also helps to aid good sleep. It helps to make people feel calmer, and it's anti-inflammatory. So when the machine beeps, I'm not going to wait for mine to beep now because you'll get bored. When it beeps, that's time to move the electrodes. So when it beeps, it's actually turning itself off, but you still have to turn it back to 0 so that you can start again. So pretend that that's beeped. And now I want to move my electrodes, and I want to move them to address the painful area. So my problem is in my right shoulder. I have old nursing injuries from when we used to manually lift people up the bed, and I feel it right inside that capsule. So I want to imagine that a straight line going from one of the black electrodes, So I'm going to move a black electrode to a red electrode. Is going to go straight through the worst pain area. So as soon as I'm feeling it right inside, kind of right in here, I'm actually going to have, I might put 2 sets. So I'm going to put one just here, and then that's going to send its current directly to one which is directly opposite. So I want to have a red one directly opposite. So when you use APS, you can position the electrodes to go up the body, down the body, or through the body. And I'm going to put that about there. So the shortest route now for the electricity is to go straight through my shoulder, and that's what I want. If I put these electrodes too close together on the skin, then the straightest route would actually be, the quickest route would actually be across the skin. So you've got to kind of, when you go through, you're generally doing it in quite big meaty joints. Now I'm going to try and make best use of both sets of electrodes. Oops. So you want to try to leave around about a pad's width in between if you can, but I'm actually going to put another set higher up. Not really left a pad's width, but maybe move it a little bit. There we go. I'm going to put another set higher up because I do get pain all the way up here, and just put this, then I'll have the red one, which is at the bottom of my back, bang opposite this one. So it's going to go for that. It's kind of like that. And you just do the best you can. Okay. Right, so I've got 2 blacks at the front and 2 reds at the back opposite those black ones, and I'm going to do the exact same thing. So I turn it to 0 to start, and then basically I'm going to turn it to 1 so that it's on. If you whack it up straight from 1, sometimes it can take a while for the current to get through from the black pad to the red pad. So you've got to just give it a moment and turn it up really gradually. So I'm going to turn it up until I feel that tingle. Yeah, I definitely feel it there. Again, it's around about 0.15, and then go down by 2/3. So I'm going down to 0.05. Now the one thing that I didn't say first time, and I should have said, is that there's also an age-related maximum. So if you are 20 to 40, your age-related maximum is 0.60. If you're 40 to 60, your age-related maximum is 0.40, and if you're above 60, your age-related maximum is 0.20. Now the reason for this is that as we get older, our lymphatic system, which is like the circulation of blood, but it's the circulation of lymph, which helps to clear out all the old gunk and junk from the body, it becomes less able to quickly eliminate waste products. So we don't want to flood the lymphatic system with toxins, because you can get headaches, muscle soreness, or even feel a bit sick and woozy. And within those guidelines, we need to take into consideration just how you are as a person. So if you are 65, but you're in very robust health, and you do play tennis, and you're pretty active and robust, then you could treat yourself as a 40 to 60 year old. But likewise, if you were 25 but you have a really serious long-term condition, and perhaps you're a little bit more frail than you would be if you were in good health, then treat yourself like an older person. Okay, so we're just doing 8 minutes in each place. Now, because I feel like I've probably addressed exactly where my pain is today, when my machine goes beep and I'm starting on the third placement, I'm probably going to leave my electrodes exactly where they are. However, if I wasn't quite sure, like, not sure if I've really nailed where this pain is, I might move the placement of my electrodes. So to treat shoulders, you can go through like this, or we could say, let's have 2 black electrodes on one side and 2 red electrodes on the other side, and then the current would be going all the way across the shoulder girdle. And the area being treated is the area in between the black electrodes and the red electrodes. So you need to drink plenty of water. So I've got some water with me. Whenever you're asking your body to remove more waste products than normal, it makes sense to drink plenty of water. Obviously, the avenues of excretion, so getting rid of waste products from your lymph, you've got your bladder to urine, you've got your bowels, and you've got sweating through the skin. So you want to make sure that those channels are nice and open so that you can keep getting rid of waste products. Many people find that the current goes up and down a little bit whilst they're treating, so that's nothing to worry about. If you notice that the numbers have increased a lot whilst you're treating, you can just turn it down again, and what that basically shows is that the resistance to electricity, which is different in everybody, has fallen somewhat, so the current is getting through the cells more easily, and that's a good sign. And so you can just adjust it. If you're watching TV or something, reading a book, and you didn't notice, it's absolutely fine. It's not going to do you any harm. If you start feeling it, especially if it starts being prickly or uncomfortable, you can just turn it down. That's not a problem. If you notice that the numbers are falling, that shows that the resistance to electricity in your body is actually increasing, and your body might just be a little bit taken aback what's going on here, you know, and just becoming a little bit more tense. And again, you can increase it again to where you wanted to set it, or if you didn't notice, that's not a problem. So on the 4th placement, the end, the last one, we always go from hands to feet or feet to hands, because we don't only want to treat the area where the pain is, we actually want to assist the whole body with the reduction of inflammation and the removal of waste products, and also with hopefully enhanced sleep and enhanced energy. So I'm going to pretend again like my machine has beeped, so I'll switch it to off, and then your last one is hands and feet. Now the rule of thumb is that if you're treating a pain in the top half of the body, then we'll go with the blacks on the hands and the reds on the feet. And if you're treating a pain in the bottom half of the body, go with the blacks on the feet and the reds on the hands. The only time I would say I would change that is if you have swollen feet, you know, or congestion in your feet and lower legs, then in actual fact, let's reverse the flow and actually have it moving away from that area, because that can assist in bringing down swollen feet and things. So I'm going blacks on my hands because my pain was in the upper half of my body. Reds on the feet. So it doesn't really matter where in the feet, my feet are cold. It doesn't really matter where you put them. I generally put them just around about here, but if it's not convenient for you, you can put them on the top of the feet, or, you know, if it's really difficult to take off your shoes and socks, then you can just put them as low down on the ankles as possible. Right, there we go. Okay, now whenever you do the hands and feet one, you generally notice, so I'm going to turn on and up again, you generally notice that it is, you have to turn it higher before you feel it, and that's because the current is having to go right through the whole body. So yeah, normally I was feeling it then around about 0.15. Not feeling it yet. Okay, so I'm feeling about 0.104. So 30, 60, 90, 0.35. I'm going down to about 0.35, something like that, 0.33. And then I'm going to check, because we had to go up quite high, that I'm not above my age-related maximum. Now my age-related maximum is 0.40, so I haven't gone above that. So I'm okay on here. So I'm just going to leave it running here for 8 minutes, and then I'll be done. And you can use your machine every day, or you can use it just 3 times a week. And I don't think it's necessarily helpful to use it more than once a day. You don't want to over-treat yourself, and you'll be more likely to get headaches or feel nauseous. But also, because what you're asking your body to work more effectively. So it's not that you put the machine on and the machine gives you pain relief. You put the machine on, your machine stimulates your body to work more effectively, and then hopefully over the weeks that results in reduced pain, better sleep, enhanced energy, enhanced well-being. So it's a really good idea to record what your pain is at the beginning, and also if you have problems with sleep and if you have problems with energy or well-being, just record those things as well on a scale of 0 to 10. You know, if 0 is I have no problem and 10 is terrible problems, because as we get better, we just forget about the troubles that we've had, which is a really nice part of human nature. But you want to know whether this is working for you or not. So record what the problems are at the beginning, and then you've got something to go back to. So when your machine beeps at the end, I'm just going to pretend it's beeped, turn it to 0, and then put your electrodes back on those sticky bits, sorry, the plastic bits. So it says on one side and no on the other, and the side that says on is a bit smoother, so just helps to keep them going longer. So just unpeel them, take them off the leads, even if it's only you using the machine, because we want them to go onto the leads randomly each time. Otherwise one set can become slightly more acidic, and then it's more likely to give you sore skin. Now you always use your electrodes on skin which is undamaged. Some people sometimes get a red square wherever they've used an electrode. That isn't something to worry about. Normally within half an hour it's gone away, but obviously if your skin was sore, then you wouldn't put another electrode on that same area the next time. If the red marker's gone, that's absolutely fine, you don't need to worry about it at all. So put your electrodes back in the foil, because that's going to just help to keep them sticky. You don't have to put them in the fridge or anything like that, just seal it up and then put your machine back in its case. And if you just loop the leads nice and softly over your hand, the machines themselves are pretty robust, as long as you don't take them into a aeroplane hold. But you need to take good care of the leads, because they have copper wire inside, and if you bend them too sharply, then the copper wire can break. So just loop them nice and softly over your hands, just like that, and put them back into their case. And I hope you found that helpful. We intend to make a whole series of little films like this. Thank you for watching. Bye. Just adding a PS. I always tell people not to expect instant results with APS therapy, because often you do need to wait weeks, but sometimes it does help instantly. And I've got to say, my shoulder is so much freer, and that's just really exciting and nice because I haven't treated it for a very long time.